Okay, somebody asked me just to do a tarot reading on receiving Shaktipat. So the first card out is interesting. I just got this deck of the Oracle of the Sibyl. And these cards are in Italian, so I have to look it up real quick. So the first one is out is Omaggio. And Omaggio that would fit to this reading is a lady is shown admiring the precious gifts she is about to receive. So that would fit in with getting Shaktipat, a precious gift. Okay. So let's see what else we have on Shaktipat. I've been asked a few other questions as well. Left hand versus right hand Tantra, and Kashmiri Shaivism versus Advaita Vedanta. Now, I don't know about having to be able to do a tarot reading on those, but I can explain the difference for you. Okay. Okay, first card out is the Moon. Okay. Now the Moon has to do with, your fears and trepidations and these dramas and things. Now, when one receives Shaktipat, it awakens the Kundalini, okay? And it goes through all the levels and layers of consciousness. And so one thing that happens is it stirs up whatever is there, mud first. One has to proceed through that. So again, whatever fears and dramas and things that you have, it will bring it to the surface to be seen. That's one of the very difficult parts of the path. Okay, again, next, the Fool. It will be the beginning of your path, and it will also, if you can surrender in the midst of it, if you can walk the path correctly, it will also take you to the end of the path. It will take you full circle. Okay. Let's see what we have next. The Empress. Okay. So again, Kundalini, once it's awakened, it's like the Empress. It brings all the good things. It brings all the bounty. It connects you with the universe. It connects you with all of those things for you to have that experience of expansion and that experience of allowing that bounty to come forward. Okay. It's a path of surrender. It's not a path of doership. Okay. Next, Nine of Swords. Okay. The path is not always easy. Okay. Understand it's going to pierce you. Again, it goes through all the levels and layers of consciousness, and one experiences all of those things that one has held for lifetimes to see if it's fact or if it's fiction. Okay. So yes, on parts of the path it can be very painful. Okay. Three of Pentacles. Okay. It's something that one has to work at. It's something that one has to work at. It's once one receives Shaktipat, again, one has to pay attention. One goes through the process. It's not an instantaneous and you're done type of thing. It takes time to unfold. So let's look at some more of these, of this Nine of Swords and the pain, the things that one goes through. Okay, lay out a few cards here. Okay. And this is why this path is not for everyone, because it's very difficult. Again, it's going to challenge you on all kind of fronts. Okay, on what you have, what you feel you don't have, okay? It brings that cup. You have to stay in that kind of an aspect of that love aspect. It will also come up at some point, again, all of these things to be challenged. Like, when like I said before, at some point in time, you're going to have to face those type of demonic entity, spirit, dark forces, dramas. They will come, and they will be also stumbling blocks along the way of too many. When you start developing powers, because they will come as well on that path. When you start developing powers, if you go and become egotistical and start chasing those powers, you can get trapped. This is a trap of ego. So again, it is a process that one has to go through. When you have this type of energy coming, then one has to starve it, give it no feedback, okay? In that you walk through those illusions, those dramas. It's a path of walking through them, not stumbling over them, okay? They may be, again, some of these things may be surrounding you, but you're not caught up by it. You're not focusing on it. You're not being tripped up by it. You walk through that. You walk through that. If you keep your focus on the light, you keep surrendering to that God essence. Okay. Again, now, Three of Pentacles up top, we have the Chariot. It's going to, Kundalini does move you forward rapidly. It's a more rapid journey. But rapid, and again, it's something that one has to surrender to in love. Okay, open the heart. One has to open that heart, have that communing with God in the heart center. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important on that path. And then eventually it takes you to that death before death. Okay, one has to go through that death before death. It's like, it's like the path that Christ showed. This is a path you walk. You have that surrender. You have the temptations. You have, that feeling of the weight of the world, the being pierced, the, all of those things one goes through on this type of path. Not an easy path, okay? One has to be ready to surrender to God no matter what comes, okay? One has to be willing to do that, to surrender. Okay, so again, one enters that death before death, and then eventually one comes to the end of the path. That death before death will break the illusion. It will break that illusion of persona, of being something separate from. At that point, that death before death, when one comes out of it, then the mind stills. One has entered that 0 point balance, okay? And one sees from direct consciousness at that point, and no longer has that revolving mind spin, mind play. Then one goes from that point, from seeing the world as Maya and illusion, to entering into the play of God. Okay, what's called the play of God. Because one is no longer constricted or in the, again, not in that mind spin of illusion. That has ended, that's dropped, that has fallen away. Okay. So I hope that hasn't scared you too much, but yeah, one has to be ready to have the Kundalini awakened. Okay, one has to be ready for that, because once it begins, it's, like I said, it's not a switch that you can turn on and off. It goes 24/7. And again, it's there to go through all the levels and layers of consciousness. Let me get my thing here. So I can tell you the levels and layers of consciousness. Okay. Okay. Number 1. Okay, well, I'll just read a little bit of the beginning of this part I put in here about the levels and layers and realms of consciousness. Well, never mind. I think I'll read the whole thing. What the heck? I'm going to read the whole thing from my book, Kundalini from Hell to Heaven. The 7 realms or layers of consciousness. Within some Buddhist studies, the layers of consciousness are called realms. Within Hindu texts, they are called chakras. The realms or layers of consciousness hold personal and also mass mind awareness or planetary consciousness as well. What you're traversing is the planetary karmic path and evolutionary mind, as well as your own identification within it. We will go through each of the layers. In each of the layers, you will more than likely process through your positive ideations and feelings within it, as well as the darkened ideations or colorizations of a negative nature. Remember this, that in the end, all comes from the source. The positives and negatives are created and sustained by mind, body, emotional attachments to a persona. Once you have broken through the persona attachment, then the conditionings attached will also shatter and be cleared. As the Kundalini process continues, each layer of consciousness encountered will bring forth feelings, symbolism, dreams, direct cognitive experiences through form and within thought to be seen and confronted. Eventually, it will reach a point in which one must see through the illusion of it and dispel it by surrender 100% to the source. Number 1 mindset or realm to transit is that of survival. Now, I wanted to say something here too. People think that you go through one layer and you go in, subsequent form. Not always true. You may jump from one level to a different level. Okay, it doesn't just go in a sequence always. Okay, so you'll hear from the different realms and layers. You could be transiting 2 of them at a time, kind of bouncing back and forth. Okay, so it's not just a straight, you start at the Muladhara and then you end up, it's not always just going straight in that direction. Okay, linear. It's not always linear. Okay. The first level you will transit is that of survival, maintaining your life. This brings up all the fears that are concerned with enough money, food, shelter, and keeping yourself safe. This will bring forward the fight or flight response. You may become concerned with self-survival, with planetary survival. Be aware what may arise are fears and phobias concerning personal safety and the fear of death. Here is where a great emphasis is given to taking supplements, exercising, all things that attempt to prolong life. While it is wise to take care of the temple, there needs to be balance in all things. This is the number one basic realm. A balance in this area is one that sees the continuity of life, sees the patterns of change, and accepts that death is not the end, but simply a moving onwards to a new experience. Life is no longer feared, but entered into fully. Number two, mindset or realm to transit is that of sexuality. The second level is closely integrated with the first, that of sexuality. There could be either overabundance, wherein the sexual energies feel out of control and are indulged in excessively, or it may go the other way, where they may be turned down or denied. This is a big trap for many. This is why many gravitate towards practices being touted as tantric. And this is the left-handed tantra, okay? This is not right-handed tantra, okay? This type of tantric exercise is a two-edged sword, for it most often is entered into by those seeking a way to use the sexual energies to progress. Tantra is not about sexuality, and therefore those chasing after this medium will encounter only more bondage. Many think that this sexual energy must become balanced male to female. That again is a misperception. What needs to be balanced is the outflow. Sexuality is neither to be repressed nor chased after. Once Kundalini begins, balance in all things is required. Repressed sexuality only leads to a mind that runs away in unhealthy avenues. The way to self-realization is not through sexual avenues. Only one whose focus is totally away from self and 100% surrendered within the divine may use this as a pathway to liberation. Otherwise, it becomes another trap of Maya and egoic pleasures in the name of spirituality. Keep your sexuality in balance, honor your partner, don't use it for selfish means, don't fear it, don't negate it, don't chase after it, keep it as a part of nature and in balance. Some caught in this realm try to exclude sexual appeal and see conquest or clinging as a part of their identity. Procreation and having children is a way that some feel able to ensure their ongoing identity. A balance here is what is needed, regardless of whether one may be or not be in a relationship, but a healthy wholeness may be fully shared within a relationship. A healthy relationship sees and shares on all levels of intimacy. Now I want to put another caveat in that. Okay. This was written because most people are in relationship, okay? If you are not in relationship and you can be celibate, celibacy is the best way to go forward to realization. And why is that? Okay. Because if you are having sex with somebody, your focus is where? Outside, on bodies, okay? So your awareness is externally focused. And the best way to go towards realization is being celibate, keeping your focus always internalized. So I just wanted to put that caveat out there. Number 3, mindset or realm to transit is that of personal power. The third level you will transit is that of forming your personal identity and creating success. Becoming either a mover and a shaker or feeling like a failure. Worrying about the success of yourself, company, country, or world. This is one where status comes into play and also competitiveness. The personal sense creates the need for either status or recognition in competition. This is where the push occurs to have more, be more. There is either being an authority or fearing authority, or on the negative end. This will either push to establish or tear down. This is the realm of military might and moguls. This is a big egoic realm, a difficult one to traverse. Within this realm comes critical evaluation of yourself and others. Attempting to come up to a certain level of success, those that are not within the push mode are the ideation of being put down, depressed, have issues with authority. Some will do anything to avoid this level of confrontation. The balance here is where success is not seen as an outside accomplishment, but simply being who and what you are without any need for external kudos or displays. There is no need to become anything, as everyone is at core level the same essence and valuation. None are higher, none are lower. Number 4 mindset realm to transit is that of heart awareness. In this level comes the ones whom are either out for themselves or on the other end of the spectrum, those that are the humble servants of humanity. Those that have no heart opening are only wrapped up within their own identification and self-serving motives and motions. There's no compassion for others, nor thought about anyone's welfare except for their own. These are those that prey upon society to fill a hole that will not be filled. Then there are the do-gooders that perform all the right outer actions but are doing it for self-recognition. These are the humble martyr types dripping with humility and good works. Unfortunately, the motive is, just look at how humble I am. Many want to save the world, even though they cannot save themselves, and they live in misery. This is a huge hurdle with the spiritual path. Some attempt to help others as a way to fill the hole or the gap of pain that they themselves live within. Some confuse agape love with sexuality and wind up attempting to live within 2 realms at once. Some think that love means saving the world, whether the world wants it or not. A balance in this area consists of resting within a total wholeness and contentedness within yourself and all life. Moving in a spontaneous motion, compassion and empathy will occur as needed. Agape love is not grasping, but a contented knowing that all are simply the one. Love is a sharing of who you are, what you are, and giving what is needed in an appropriate way without looking for the rewards. Number 5, mindset or realm to transit is that of creative endeavor vibrations. This is the land of dark void, bliss, or poison. This is where words may come through the insights of various texts and may become clear. Here is where you create by voice patterns of energy. All creation is simply energy moved by mind and conceptualization. Here is where you live and speak your truth or error. Here is where you actively enter creation. In the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Word makes creationary drama. As you change your focus, your language will also change. You are what you speak. All of creation comes from vibrational patterns. This is the realm wherein you focus on the positive or negative and project it by the spoken word. Here the words and wisdoms may come as concepts and glimmers, but do not think they are what you are seeking. There is still further to go. So do not turn away from inquiry and mindfulness yet. There is yet further to go on the path. Here is the danger of equating knowing about with knowing. Om, the highest mantra that takes one from division to pointed focus. Om takes one from sound to silence. Om takes one to the subtle, formless. A balance in this area is one wherein balance is entered, where one no longer chases positives or negatives, where spontaneous words of compassion and wisdom flow. Number 6 mindset or realm to transit is that of mental and subtle realms. In this realm, one enters into the subtle phenomena, lights, astral planes, cities. This is the land of the last crossing. Mara, or intellectual delusion, plays very subtle tricks to keep the ego in play. Here, ego can be seen through. Here is where the cities must be let go of. Here is where the mind either goes off on subtle experience or surrenders into silence and one. All phenomena is of the realm of creation. To reach beyond creation and to creator, to source, this realm must be passed through. Here is the last great barrier. Here it is that you must be diligent and not be pulled into the world of psychic and paranormal. Here is where you must be firm in your commitment to turn your back on cities and powers. Here is the place where surrender is paramount, where neti or not this should be used when phenomena starts to pull you in. It is here you can learn and you can start to lose the self-identity and can begin to enter into a sarvakalpa samadhi. When balanced, the intellectual mind play ends and stilled awareness prevails. What is required comes as required. Nothing need be held. Sarvakalpa samadhi is found here. Number 7 realm is entered, beyond the mind. Here in this realm, one enters into non-duality. One passes through the demise of the false egoic mind and conditionings, blown out and shattered. What remains is the non-dual reality. Here is where one goes beyond mind and the senses into a nirvikalpa samadhi, into the primal source or essence, that pregnant void of infinite, unending potential. Here all is stripped bare and then spit back out into life as a new creation. From here, one will descend back into either heart or wisdom. There will be spontaneous action which has no center. This is the end of the search, but merely the beginning of life. Balance is when Sahaj Samadhi remains, where Advaita Dvaita are ever non-dual in nature. For within integration, within Nirvikalpa Sahaj Samadhi, the world of phenomena and the transient are known to be empty in nature. Liberation remains if conditionings and egoic mind are not pulled back in. And so there you have the transiting of the realms and layers of consciousness. So again, this is not something to be entered into lightly. This can take lifetimes to transit all of the realms, okay? So again, people have this false notion that if they get Shaktipat, they're entering the yellow brick road, and that everything's going to magically open for them. They're going to get all these powers and be able to control and just direct their life and have whatever they want. Well, that's absolutely the wrong focus. If that's what you have, then what you have is Kali, which is Kundalini, can either bring liberation or more delusion, okay? She can take you on either of the divergent paths, okay? Either full liberation or illusion, delusion, more and more of the Shakti of divisionary play, okay? So, thank you for asking that question, and I hope that that has brought you a little more wisdom about what happens with Shaktipat. Okay, namaste, have a great day.